Moose sends in 5 and says, from a psychological perspective, why do game developers keep pushing DEI? Almost no new games are fun and full of woke nonsense nobody wants. Well, I'm sure they'll start to veer away from it sooner than later, but like I don't remember who brought it up earlier. I think it was Andre or Paul that said, we've got how many years of games that have been in development that we got to get through to get on the other end of this too. It's similar with Hollywood, but games take even longer in most cases.
Yeah. Yellow Flash, what's your thoughts on this? Why do game developers keep pushing DEI? What's psychologically wrong with them? Why do they want this?
Money.
ESG money?
Yeah. And all of them are woke. They think that they're doing it for like a better world.
It's a crusade.
Yeah.
So that means they're not doing it for money. They're doing it because
they're going to get that funding.
They're doing it for the
cost.
Coincides.
That, and you have the other people who are using it as employment as well.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, well, you don't have enough black people or whatever here. And then they push that, so then they get hired that way. Yeah.
Well, to me, it's like, let's hear what Mr. Chato have to say on it. What psychologically, what drives them to do this DEI stuff?
So one bit of information that I got from an HR professional, again, in the corporate world, and some of this I think transfers over to Hollywood and also game development, is that we had a jump in terms of the kinds of people the corporations were hiring. You had the boomers who were running these very, I'd say, conservative organizations, but then the internet came, and then everyone was talking about social media and getting audiences through what's the term that they used for social media marketing became really hot. The next group of people after the boomers knew nothing about social media marketing, so they jumped over them to get to the millennials and the Gen Zs, who were part of this, hip young thing, social media marketing. And suddenly conservative corporations were infused with a generation jump of young people that could at least talk the talk about social media. And no one in the corporation really knew what they were doing, how they behaved, why they were different culturally. And that's what actually kickstarted a lot of this generational change. And these individuals were also social activists, and the corporations didn't know what to do. And rather than, I'd say, using the term fighting it, they acquiesced to this generation of individuals who, rather than wanting to become part of the company, were more interested in bringing their collegial atmosphere from their colleges into work. They didn't like the way work worked. And HR and the corporate bigwigs just bowed over and said, yeah, sure, bring your college-like atmosphere into our corporations. And that's actually one of the generators, the drivers of what we are dealing with right now. Whether that affected game development companies, I can't say. I can just talk to how corporate America has been twisted by this jump in generation.
Yeah, there's like you all hit on it. It's really the perfect toxic mix.
Yeah.
Because from a corporate point of view, you have the ESG, and we've seen this, where you have the likes of Microsoft.
Yep.
Who are like, okay, and we did the video on this a couple of weeks ago when they made public their list of demands for publishers. They've had those for the past 5 years. If your game ain't woke as hell, it's not going to be released on the Xbox. So if you're a game developer and you want your game to be released on Xbox, you're going to have to wokeify it. And let's just say that the other platforms don't have the same requirements. They do, or similar ones. I just think that Xbox happens to be more extreme. What you're going to do then, rather than make like 3 different games, you'll wokeify the game for release so it can be released on the Xbox. And instead of doing 3 different ones, you'll put that wokeified version across on everyone. Because that way you get paid because it's going to be released, Whereas if you don't do it, you have an indie game that Xbox want nothing to do with. Are you going to gamble everything on Nintendo and PlayStation or Steam? That may not work out. You may not have the chance to do that. So you, as a developer, may be forced to put it out there if you want to stay in the big leagues or even the medium leagues. This is the problem with ESG. You are forced to wokeify, and part of that is, oh, you need to now wokeify the company. You need to hire activists. You can't be a small little studio of white people who loves games. Oh, no, 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 no. We can't work with a company like that. You need to bring in a couple of activists. Oh, you did? Well, that's not enough. You need to hire the likes of Sweet Baby Inc. as well. And your new hires, they're now toxins destroying the company from within. That's what you were talking about, Paul. That they are forced in the name of ESG to make these diversity hires, and then the people they hire and they bring in, well, there are many enough of them to transform the company culture, and then the hive has been taken over. The invasion is complete.
And my point is that the barbarians were already at the gate pre-ESG,
Yeah, they were there.
this, and they got the soil prepared for all of this. That's my point. No one's talked about that.
Yeah.
It's not sudden. It's not a sudden change. It's this hiring practice, social media kind of.
All of those people who were basically talking about, oh, you have to open the door a little bit. You have
Correct.
to there's like
Exactly.
every game has a white male. Hey, you need just a little bit. Just give us the little finger. Just give us the little finger. Throw us a little bone here. That was the barbarians at the gate.
Correct.
And the moment when you open the door, you let the barbarians in.
Yeah.
You just didn't know it.
Yeah,
and then they transformed
exactly
you
right.
from within, and they ruined the company. It's kind of like the same thing that has happened in many like Western societies with immigration and stuff. Open a little bit, and suddenly society is completely fallen apart because of it, which many European nations can speak to as well. It's like the same thing. It's just when the barbarians are at the gate, you don't know it, because then you just have to throw them a little bone. Then the door is opened. That's the psychological perspective. Do it little by little until the takeover is complete and you have no idea and you have lost control of your own company. That's what happened. Yellow Flash, anything to chime on with that or add to that before we move on?
I think you hit it on the head.
All right. Then the Chaos Sonic says, Andre, I don't blame you for not knowing, as everyone thought it was Jump on that battle. We all got stumped on it. That fucking ruined my life. I'm not even joking. Matthias Fredriksson says, for 20 Swedish krona, binging X-Men 97 and positively surprised by it. Yeah, I've heard that.
There's actually some people calling. Go ahead.
So episode 5 was really good. I just watched it yesterday. I'm surprised. Usually by now, these Disney Plus shows fall apart. This one is still going strong.
Well, Hawkeye fell apart in the last episode, so yeah.
I guess the writer left his gay shit at the door.
I'm glad you, because that was what I was going to say, is I've seen there's already a petition online for people calling for him to be brought back.
I think he should be brought back. He did a good job. We'll see if it holds
anything
up.
Coming out. Yeah, we're still waiting. Nothing's come out besides what we already know. So
I'm still waiting to see the rest of the season before, final judgment. But I mean, based on what I've seen, because I had very, very low expectations, because you see this guy's private profile, his Instagram, basically, and he's got pictures of him like giving the camera middle finger and saying "fuck Trump," all this TDS shit. And 9 times out of 10, when you see something like that, usually what they make is dog shit. But he was able to leave all of his shit at the door, and so far has made a pretty damn good show. So he proved me wrong so far. We'll see. But yeah, the 5th episode was really, really good, and we'll see how the show sticks to landing.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is we are 5 weeks out now from when he was fired, and we still have yet to have anything surface that is remotely that bad. So
Just
I
the
can't
morph stuff.
understand.
The more stuff has been.
Well,
like,
no,
they're
I'm talking
hinting
about
that
on
he's
his-
gay with Wolverine. Like, there's a scene in the 4th episode where they get they're stuck in a hallucination, and his hallucination is him going into the bathroom where Wolverine is taking a shower, and he says he turns into. I think he turned into Wolf. I can't remember who he turns into. And he's like, "You need some help reaching those hard to reach places. You need a hand getting those hard to reach places." So it's heavily implied that Morph wants to fuck Wolverine.
Which we figured was going to happen anyway, one way or another. But still, that being said, like
Wolverine though is very much into Jean Grey. He was flirting with her in episode 5. There's actually a good scene between Jean and Logan. In
what I was
5.
referring to was the actual real life stuff. I'm talking about all we've seen is that, they knew he had an OnlyFans. That wasn't a secret. There was those couple pictures of him. Those weren't a secret. We have nothing else that has come out about this guy. So it's leaning more into, at least my opinion, that he just didn't conform to what they wanted. And he probably was sticking to his guns on most things. Morph was probably the one thing that he, conformed with them on, and that wasn't enough for them, I think, at this point. And they kept using he was difficult to work with more than anything. See, and that to me spells somebody who refuses to change the source material, because that's what we keep hearing every time somebody's fired. Like, because he was like with Henry Cavill on the Witcher thing, that's where he came from, and he quit there or got fired there. I can't remember which one it was, because he didn't want to conform to their changing of the story. He thought they should stick to the source material. So
yeah, it's obvious he was a fan. He's been going through multiple storylines, like the mutant massacre at Genosha, the Inferno stuff. He's been doing Storm losing her powers, which is going to go into, I forget that guy's name. It's like the Abysmal or something. He's kind of like a Shadow King character.
yeah, and I agree with what Lord Akira is saying here. When they say difficult to work with and they don't give specifics, that usually means not obedient anymore. Yeah.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There, you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey, and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe, and join us.